What's up everyone? Alex from TS1, and I bought my dream Lamborghini. Where'd the engine go? I bought this car before I bought the channel, right? And I started taking it apart. And unfortunately, I found out that the engine was broken. And me being me, I find a reason to spend more money because it's the right thing to do, right? So I sent the engine out to T1 Race to get billet pistons, rods, and a valve conversion because Performantes actually come with titanium valves, and at higher horsepower applications you need to remove the titanium valves and go with an upgraded valve system so you don't spit out a shim. That's the main reason. Lamborghini ran shims on the Performante engines for the valve adjustment and everything, and when you're at higher RPMs with a lot of power, the engine will spit that out and then you have catastrophic failure. So we're doing that. We're also deleting the DI on the car because that's another failure point. I really just want the car to be efficient and just run back to back to back with no hiccups, you know. And to do it, you gotta spend once, cry once, you know, and that's what we've been doing so far. And it's been almost a year and I have an incomplete Lamborghini. Part one is gonna be a little bit of catching up on what I've already done, and today I'm actually gonna show you guys on more preparation to get a new frame in this car. The new frame is sitting right here. I'm going to mock it up today. I'm going to disassemble a lot more stuff. You can see that the car is pretty much disassembled already, but I still have a long way to go, and that's just because this is like the skeleton of the car, right? So you got this first and everything else around it, and now everything else around it has to unfortunately come out, and I have to remember how to put it back. Almost tore that up. Well, it's not. It's fully forged carbon, actually. Wow. And I have to slowly pry it up because they put a screw right under there. Thank you, engineers. Damn. Imagine if I broke this. I would have been so mad. Look, it's carbon. Broke some of it. And if every other YouTuber hasn't told you yet, Lamborghini uses Audi parts. I feel like that's the coolest thing to know about a Lamborghini. We're pulling this out, the fuel tank out. And this beam right here, this rail, was basically pushed into the gas tank. And I actually even left the indentation right here. So I had to pry it back. It being aluminum, I actually caused more damage and I cracked it at the joint, but I should be able to re-weld it. Audi. Lamborghini. So basically right now I'm having a really hard time taking the gas tank out, and it's mostly because the car is all crushed and there's a lot of pressure against the tank. So these pads seem to be the main tension point on the tank, and right now I'm basically going to put some WD-40 on it to see if it's going to help me slide them out, because the tank's really just supposed to easily slide out, but it's been a pain in the ass. Yeah. Oh. Woo! That thing is out, boy. Finally, dude. Alright guys, so let me explain what happened so far before I start cutting the car. Let me tell you exactly what has been done. So for starters, the most simple part was unclipping the harness for all the electronics. All the little stuff, as you can see here, I left plugged in. That way I had the least amount of plugs to find where they go to as possible, right? I went ahead, you know, we're tucking the harnesses back. We took the fuel tank out because right now we're just trying to get as much access as we can to the frame structure right here. The most hardest part was taking out the fuel tank because it was literally jammed in here. I went ahead and cut this beam right here. As you can see, this side's a little bit more elevated than the other. That's because this whole frame in the back was binding and I wanted to release some stress. That way I can see exactly what's going on with the frame. What side is higher, what side is lower. And that's basically going to help me out as to positioning myself when I bring the new frame over to the car. Now, I'm going to try to do this as OEM as possible, basically as if Lamborghini did it. Luckily Lamborghini's welds are like a lot worse than what I'm expecting to do to the car, so I'm going to make this car even better than Lamborghini, honestly. But for this part, we're going to go ahead and start cutting this section, the bad section of the frame, out at the factory seams. The reason why I want to do that is because I'm basically trying to get the car compliant, like iCar compliant, which is like collision safety compliant, and also Georgia's probably one of the worst states to get a rebuilt title car, and if you cut any structural piece in half, it will never get a Georgia rebuilt title. So for me on this car, I want to get a Georgia rebuilt title, so I'm going to replace every piece at the factory section. So basically I'm going to be replacing where all the bad pieces at the seams and just putting another piece there and welding it up just like Lamborghini would do it. And yeah, I'm going to try to have a Georgia plate right here and it's going to say these nuts. Alright guys, so we got our old frame out the way. As you can see, I still left a good bit of it on here. It's because I want to take my time and undo these welds right here, so that way I have a good piece right here. And what that's going to allow me to do is when I put on the new frame, it's going to just slide over this railing right here and right here. And I welded up originally like the same way Lamborghini had it. So like I mentioned to you, we're trying to replace all these parts at the factory seam. We're not trying to cut any frame rolls in half because state of Georgia has an inspection, and basically to pass inspection you gotta abide by like collision safety regulations. iCar is the name of the certification. But yeah, we want to try to get this car to pass Georgia salvage inspection. That's the reason why I have to do the long way and basically just undo these welds and slide on the new piece, as well as right here. If you come here, it'll kind of look like this. Basically, you can see that the old rail was welded on right here by Lamborghini. I cut it right past the weld, so when the new piece comes on, it'll just slide over. Of course, I'm going to start cleaning these off and make these. Basically, the next step is to start preparing this, and as well as the old frame. I was lucky enough on the old frame to get these pieces right here, but obviously they're cut in half. So what I want to do is start undoing the welds right here at the factory seam and clean it up to where I can just slide this frame onto the back of this car, make my adjustments. So of course, like, we don't have a frame machine right here yet, but we do have 3 frame machines. So I'm going to be able to make my measurements and make sure that this frame sits level. And once that's completed, I'll align like the quarter panels and all that good jazz. I have to do some repairs on this frame rail right here. I might end up changing this, but if not, I can go ahead and fix it because this is still the factory component and it's already welded to the monocoupe right here, or the carbon tub, half a carbon tub. But yeah, trying to keep it as original as possible. I really wanted to mock up the frame in this episode, but this actually took a really long time. We've actually been working on this car for the past 8 hours, and unfortunately, like, based on our schedule, we are only able to work on the cars on certain amount of like we have a certain day in time we can work on the car because we are a full repair facility and we have customer cars to work on Monday through Friday. I think I'm gonna leave this part right here. I'm gonna leave that as like a beauty mark because that's what costed me like almost $60,000. If this was, I guess, a little softer, like if it absorbed the damage, I feel like I wouldn't have had to build the motor and just did a twin turbo kit and made 1500, because these cars will do it. They'll do 1500 wheel reliably. Of course, you're going to tame the torque, but the 5.2 V10 it's a powerhouse. So yeah, I would have actually kept it stock blocks, stock pistons, but because I had to build the block anyways and put a new block into the engine, I just went ahead, did pistons and rods and got it out my way. But yeah, today we got a Lambo. Literally, this is a definition of the Lambo. When I add the frame, I can call it a Lamborghini after that. So the all-time goal is to completely finish the back. And once that's done, I'm going to move over to the front. Like I showed you guys in the previous video, the front's actually taking a hit too. But I'm kind of limited on space and time because, like I said, there's still a bunch of customer cars that I have to get done. And I have to be conservative, and also I think it's more organizing. Like for me, it's more organized that I just do the back first, get that out the way and resolved, and then move over to the front. Of course, I'm gonna paint the whole car at once, but as far as doing the repairs and stuff like that, we're gonna just do back section first and then move over to the front.